Today we're diving deep into one of the biggest controversies shaking the gaming industry right now. Nintendo's aggressive lawsuit against Palworld and its new wave of US patents that many believe could strangle innovation across the entire industry. This isn't just a story about two games clashing. This is about the future of how video games are made, shared, and enjoyed, and whether powerful companies like Nintendo are protecting creativity or suffocating it. Grab your coffee or your Pokeball, because this is going to be a ride. Let's talk about how Nintendo might actually be hurting the gaming industry. Section 1. Setting the stage. Nintendo, Pokémon, and Palworld. First, let's set the context. Nintendo is one of the most powerful names in gaming. They own franchises that define childhoods: Mario, Zelda, and of course, Pokémon. For decades, Nintendo has been fiercely protective of its intellectual property. That means no fan games, no knockoff merch, and lawsuits against anything they think steps too close to their territory. Now enter Palworld. Developed by Pocketpair, this game exploded onto the scene as Pokémon with guns. But that meme title doesn't do it justice. It's an open-world survival game where you collect creatures called pals, build bases, explore, and fight bosses. Yes, the creatures share some similarities with Pokémon, but Palworld is also doing things Pokémon never dared to attempt. Guns, survival mechanics, base building, even dark themes like forced labor. Millions of players bought in. The game went viral on Twitch, and for a moment people started asking, could Palworld actually be a threat to Pokémon's dominance? And that's when Nintendo and the Pokémon Company took action. Section 2. The lawsuit. On September 19th, 2024, Nintendo and the Pokémon Company filed a lawsuit against Pocketpair, accusing them of infringing on multiple patents related to Pokémon's mechanics. These weren't just claims about art style or character design. The patents targeted very specific things: capturing creatures in balls, summoning and battling mechanics, riding and flying mounts, and even certain creature behaviors in battle. Now, here's the kicker. Nintendo had recently secured new US patents, some of them very broad, that covered these mechanics. And critics immediately said, wait a second, aren't these things standard in RPGs by now? By wielding these patents, Nintendo wasn't just challenging Palworld. They were laying the groundwork to gatekeep whole categories of mechanics for years to come. Section 3, Patent Controversy, explained. Let's break down why this is so controversial. In the US, patents are supposed to protect inventions that are new, useful, and non-obvious. But sometimes, especially in software, patents get approved that are, let's just say, questionable. According to gaming lawyers, Nintendo's recent patents should never have been approved. They argue that the mechanics, like summoning a companion creature or flying on its back, already exist in games, mods, or even decades-old RPGs. Yet Nintendo now holds patents claiming these mechanics as their own, and they're using them to take Pocketpair to court. The biggest red flag? Nintendo has also argued in Japan that mods, user-created modifications to games, don't count as prior art. That means if a modder invented something years ago, Nintendo could still patent it later and claim ownership. That's terrifying for the modding community. Section 4. Why people say this hurts the industry. Let's look at the broader harm critics see in this situation. 4.1. Stifling innovation and competition. Game design is iterative. Developers build on each other's ideas. That's how we went from Pong to Mario to 3D platformers to entire open-world sandboxes. If Nintendo can lock down basic mechanics like summoning companions, smaller studios may avoid innovating in that space entirely. Why? Because they don't want to risk getting sued. And when small studios avoid risk, the whole industry stagnates. Hades, Stardew Valley, Hollow Knight. These are the kinds of games we might never see if patents like this hang over developers' heads. 4.2 Legal costs and fear. Here's another factor. Lawsuits are insanely expensive. Even if a developer believes Nintendo's patents are invalid, they might not have the money to fight in court. Nintendo knows this. Just the threat of a lawsuit can force devs to change their games or settle quietly. That chilling effect means fewer ambitious projects, fewer experiments, and fewer chances for new genres to emerge. 4.3 Modding under threat. Mods are the lifeblood of innovation. Think about it. Dota started as a Warcraft 3 mod. Counter-Strike began as a Half-Life mod. Entire genres, MOBA, Battle Royale, came from mods. Now imagine if big corporations could argue that mods don't count as prior art. That would let them swoop in, patent community inventions, and use them for themselves while shutting modders out. If Nintendo's view takes hold, the next Dota or Minecraft mod revolution might never happen. 4.4 Broad and vague patents. Another problem, Nintendo's patents are broad, sometimes vague. They don't just cover specific code, they cover whole gameplay concepts. That's dangerous because it creates uncertainty. For developers, uncertainty is the enemy of creativity. If you're unsure whether flying on a dragon could get you sued, you might just not include it. And that's how innovation dies. 4.5 Dangerous precedents. And finally, precedent. If Nintendo succeeds, other big publishers might rush to patent common mechanics too. Imagine if Ubisoft patented climbing towers, or if From Software patented stamina bars. Sounds ridiculous, right? But that's the road this could take us down. An industry where the biggest companies carve up the core mechanics of gaming like monopoly property, and everyone else pays rent just to participate. Section 5. Nintendo's side of the story. Now let's be fair. Nintendo has its arguments. They'll say intellectual property law is meant to protect creative investments. Pokémon is the highest grossing franchise in history, worth more than Star Wars and Marvel combined. Nintendo and the Pokémon Company argue that without strong protections, competitors could just copy their ideas, slap on a new coat of paint, and cash in. They'll also say that their patents aren't as broad as critics claim. They're about specific implementations, not generic mechanics. And to be honest, Nintendo has always been strict about protecting its IP. They see this as business as usual. Section 6. The fallout. Palworld's response. Pocketpair, the studio behind Palworld, has already made changes. They quietly updated the game to remove or alter mechanics Nintendo targeted. For example, capture animations and certain ride features were tweaked. This shows how much power Nintendo's lawsuit already has, even before a verdict. Palworld bent the knee to avoid a legal bloodbath, but that sets a scary precedent. If you want to compete with Nintendo, you'll have to play by their rules, even if those rules are written after your game already launched. Section 7. Bigger picture. What this means for gamers. So why should gamers care? Well, here's the thing. We gamers benefit from competition. Pokémon has been coasting for years. Same formula, buggy releases, rushed timelines. Palworld lit a fire under them. Suddenly, people asked, why can't Pokémon do this? Why can't Pokémon innovate? Competition is healthy. It forces everyone to improve. But if Nintendo crushes competitors with lawsuits and patents, we lose that. We're stuck with stagnation. And at the end of the day, the players are the ones who suffer. Section 8. The call for reform. Here's where we get to solutions. Many argue the U.S. patent system needs reform. Patents on game mechanics should be scrutinized much more heavily. Broad, obvious ideas should not be patentable. Some propose a stronger role for prior art, including mods, fan projects, and community work. Others want time limits or stricter novelty standards. Because right now, the system rewards whoever has the deepest pockets and the best lawyers, not whoever has the best ideas. Section 9 Conclusion. So is Nintendo protecting its IP or choking the industry? That depends on who you ask. But one thing is clear. This lawsuit against Palworld isn't just about one game. It's about who gets to decide the future of gaming. Will it be developers, modders, and creative risk-takers? Or will it be corporations armed with patents that cover mechanics gamers have enjoyed for decades? Time will tell. But if gamers don't pay attention now, we may wake up one day to a world where the games we love can't exist. Not because they weren't fun, but because they weren't legally allowed. This is how Nintendo could be hurting the gaming industry. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Nintendo is justified, or are they going too far? Let's talk about it.